And I'm not bored. I will never not be interested in understanding the incomprehensible, comprehending the incomprehensible. I will never accept that there are no answers to some of these questions. Most obviously today, why is he doing it? There must be answers to this question.
You're about to hear one of the most unbelievable claims Donald Trump has made in quite some time. And considering everything we've seen over the years, that's really saying something. This isn't just another controversial headline. It's a statement that's left many people questioning how remarks like this continue to dominate the political conversation. Before we dive into the full story, comment where you're watching from, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Let's get into exactly what was said, why it's causing such a massive reaction, and at the end of the video, I'll share my full thoughts on the entire situation.
The time he suggested that you could use bleach as a treatment for coronavirus or for COVID-19 probably deserved slightly more attention than it got. And once again, we find ourselves ill-equipped or perhaps unequipped to cope with this level of what I can only describe as madness. Whether you want to get philosophical about the collapse of objective truth, the assault upon experts and expertise, the ignorance of evidence and the ignoring of evidence, in pursuit of what? That's going to be part of my question to you today. In pursuit of what? Because in pursuit of power, telling lies in pursuit of power, whether it's about foreigners or paracetamol, at least makes sense. At least you and I can sit here and say, oh, Lord, that's why he's doing it, promising to deport this, that and the other, because it appeals to a certain type of voter, best described perhaps as either at the very best ill-informed or more often than not, profoundly racist. What is the purpose of claiming that taking paracetamol during pregnancy causes autism in the child, the subsequently born child? I mean, do you need to be a psychologist, a political scientist? Who is best qualified to even address the question of why he's telling this lie? You see why lots of other lies you can dig into the bottom of, can't you? It's not that difficult to understand many of his other lies. But why is he telling this lie? Why is the President of the United States of America linking paracetamol to autism? Every time you think it can't get any worse, along he shuffles, in he comes, with the most extraordinary nonsense, the most extraordinary madness. Tylenol, which is what they call it in the States, is linked to autism. So that is your first question this morning. Why is he doing this? And I'll take most suggestions, because at the moment we've got a vacuum, right? But I will be, how can I put this politely? I will be impatient with silly suggestions. I actually would like to get to 11 o'clock today with at least a vague grasp on why we think he's doing this, because it makes no sense. 0345 6060 973. Come one, come all. And then a question I'd really like your help with. How should this be treated? How are we supposed to deal with this? I don't know who's best qualified. I've got two questions for you today, perhaps, that are about what would you do if you were in a certain situation. I'm not 100% sure that we're going to go with the second one, which is kind of about Sarah Ferguson and what King Charles should do with her. But the first one, how would you handle this? I mean, do I even have to talk about it? It's a bit meta, isn't it? Give me a ring and tell me whether you should be giving me a ring about this subject. But I mean it. It's everywhere today. You can't ignore it. It's leading news bulletins. It's on front pages. And it is receiving that level of attention because he is the President of the United States of America. If the office was occupied by a baboon, you would have to report the splurtings and the behaviours of the baboon with a level reserved for the holders of some of the most important offices in the world. And you'd have thought, by his second term, we might have come up with a slightly better way of handling this. We might have come up with a slightly better way of distinguishing between normal occupants of that office and baboons, but we haven't. Some of the coverage of the state visit last week, that he's a leader, not a lawyer, attempts to portray Keir Starmer in a negative light were, I mean, almost unbelievable in their utter contempt for the observable truth of what Donald Trump is. He's a leader, not a lawyer. Linking autism to paracetamol. Yeah, more of that sort of thing. You've got Jacob Rees-Mogg writing in the Telegraph today about why Donald Trump could become Prime Minister of the United Kingdom one day. He's just the latest symptom in a collective abandonment of senses, isn't he? I don't know when it began. 2015, 2016, the referendum. People just finally felt free to completely ignore facts and evidence. A Boris Johnson-ification of an entire country. And Donald Trump, of course, represents the same process happening in the United States of America. So how should we do it? Should we completely ignore it? Genuine question, whether you're the BBC or the New York Times. Should you report it in terms? Should you say things like, Donald Trump... I've seen slightly more robust reporting of this one from the New York Times, oddly enough, and from the BBC. That they have, they've used stronger language than they normally would. But, is it time now to have a headline that says something like, President talks twaddle? President makes mad link between autism and paracetamol. Do you see what I mean? How can we be using the same vocabulary to report on what a baboon has done that we use to report upon what a decent politician, or at least someone who recognises reality, whether it's Joe Biden or Barack Obama or George W. Bush? How do you do? I don't know. How much thought have you given this? Have Americans given it more thought than Brits? Have journalists let us all down? Are we letting you all down? Are journalists really dropping the ball on this one because they've only got the vocabulary of normality and it doesn't really rise to the challenge of properly reflecting or properly reporting abnormality? It's absolutely extraordinary what's going on. And yet it is so baked in now to public discourse. It's so much a part of the furniture that you're left, I think, with little choice but to at least acknowledge the existence of this story. Sadly, the Daily Mail, which has a very grim history when it comes to the MMR vaccine being erroneously linked with autism, is not using the kind of language that you might expect. Using paracetamol when pregnant raises the risk of autism, Trump claims. So that is just disgraceful, right? Because it makes it sound plausible, it makes it sound feasible, it makes it sound sensible. They've even got a professor, and you need to know that when it says emeritus after a professor's name, that they are retired. Some studies have found a link, right? But it's far too simplistic just to blame paracetamol for autism, and genes play a significant role. You just have the Daily Mail here nibbling again at the carrot that it devoured whole during the MMR scandals launched by Dr. Andrew Wakefield, as if they have learned nothing. So, of course, some of the journalism is appalling. Step forward, as ever, every day, the Daily Mail. But what about the journalism that's not appalling? What should that look like? How should we report the dangerous, because some mothers... he's a popular guy, right? Among people who need to give their heads, of course, the mother of all wobbles, but he is popular enough for some pregnant women to now eschew paracetamol, which is not the end of the world, but he talks about vaccines as well. And when we start eschewing vaccines, when we stop taking vaccines, we reintroduce terrible diseases to the population, or we see enormous increases in terrible diseases among a population. You're already seeing elements of this in the United States of America, and some of the drop in vaccine take-up in this country since people started telling lies about the COVID vaccines has been hazardous. So I don't know that this one... well, unless you're a mum with an autistic child who you love, but who you think now, because... sadly, you can't quite accept that the President of the United States of America is a brain-dead baboon. You now think it might be your fault your child had autism because you took some paracetamol when you had a headache during your pregnancy. I mean, that's dangerous, it's unpleasant, but it's not a threat, is it, to public health in the way that some of the nonsense he spouts about vaccines is, or indeed the suggestion that you should take bleach as a treatment for COVID. I don't know. I never get bored of it. Do you know, it's the strangest thing. At 10:02 in the morning when I open up one of these conversations, I think, I'm bored of this now. I'm bored of trying to unravel the madness. And I get to about 10 past, 11 past, and I'm not bored. I will never not be interested in understanding the incomprehensible, comprehending the incomprehensible. I will never accept that there are no answers to some of these questions. Most obviously today, why is he doing it? There must be answers to this question.
So, this entire paracetamol and autism claim has to be one of the most astonishing things I've heard from Donald Trump, and considering his long history of controversial statements, that's a remarkable achievement on its own. The biggest question isn't just whether the claim is accurate. It's why make it in the first place. When politicians make misleading claims about immigration or elections, you can usually identify the political strategy behind them. But what's the benefit of frightening expectant mothers over a common pain reliever? That's what makes this situation so difficult to understand. I also think James O'Brien raises an important point about how these moments are covered. On one hand, you have a public figure making a claim that goes against the overwhelming scientific consensus. On the other, parts of the media report it in a way that can make it sound like it's simply another side of a legitimate debate. That's where journalism has to be especially careful. Reporting a claim is one thing, but presenting it without the proper context can leave audiences confused about what the evidence actually says. And then there's the human side of this story. Imagine being the parent of an autistic child and hearing a powerful political leader suggest that taking medicine for a headache during pregnancy could somehow be responsible. Even if that claim isn't supported by the available scientific evidence, it has the potential to create unnecessary guilt and anxiety for families who are already dealing with enough. Words matter, especially when they come from someone with enormous influence. Then you add in the political commentary surrounding all of this, including suggestions that Trump could somehow become Britain's prime minister. And it almost feels like satire has become reality. Moments like these blur the line between serious political debate and pure spectacle. And that's exactly why they're worth paying attention to. But those are just my thoughts. I'd really like to hear what you think. Do you believe the media is doing enough to challenge claims like these? Or do you think it's giving them more attention than they deserve? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below.